And let's see, let me flip it over to, let's see, Ramachandran. Take it away, brother.
Thank you, Alvin. Today I'm smoking my one and only, uh, what is, what is this one? It's supposed to be a very, very premium one. I'm unable to recollect the name. I'm down with about almost half a dozen pegs of single malts. I'm unable to recollect the name, but I'm smoking today. Uh, uh, Amphora Virginia, a favorite of our dear friend Miguel Ole. So, Miguel, it's now to you.
Thank you, Ramachandran. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Mr. Skoda, welcome to the BPC meeting. You, this morning I'm smoking a Hamilton Sour, low bat with horn. And like my friend Ramachandran, I'm smoking, it's that time of year now that I'm smoking more Amphora Virginia blend. And I like smoking small pipe, so the second pipe will be a Dunhill Ruby Bark 3111 with silver. And on that one, I will be smoking, what is it? Solani 633. Thank you. And I will pass the Virtual Pipe Club to Bud.
Thanks, Miguel. I'm smoking some Burley Morning pipe, and I'm smoking it in a Janos Kikinos pipe that I won at his raffle, the raffle he had back in December, 25 euros a shot. This was the pipe that I won, and it's got kind of almost a paneled or blowfish, but snail, I'm not sure. And if you look at the stem, it's kind of off center too. It's not exactly flat, so it's kind of an interesting little pipe. And this is my first smoke in it. It's smoking good. So, but anyway, that's what I'm smoking. And later on, I'm gonna put some. Speaking of Drucker and Sons pipes, some Casbah. I'm gonna put into this big Peterson house pipe. Okay, right back there, and smoke it. So I'm going to pass the pipe over to Chris.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. So today I've got some Parsons blend going today, and LaCroix billiard I picked up at LJ Preddy, paneled there, nice little pipe. That probably won't last long. It's a small bowl, so up next, I've got my Wolf's Head mirror. I'm gonna do some McBaron plum cake in that. A little navy smoke this afternoon here. Let's see. We'll pass the pipe to Tim.
Thank you, Chris. So I'm not smoking anything today. I was smoking for a couple of weeks there, and I went back to my dentist and did another little thing on my implants, and he just told me I have to see him Monday. He said, don't smoke anything until Monday till I look and see how it's going. So I'm following the rules. But this whole insanity should be over in 4 weeks. 4 weeks. It's been going on since September.
4 weeks?
4 weeks. Okay, I get measured for the implant, measured for the crown, then the crown, boom, and then we're done. And then Katie bar the door, man. That's it. I'm well, maybe not. So anyway, I'm not smoking anything, but let me show you guys my Joe Skoda pipe. This is totally killer. This is absolutely amazing. And this nice little story about this. This was purchased at the Columbus Pipe Show. And it was done in such a nice way. It was a sort of my good friend David Martinez and my lovely wife Celeste, they sort of conspired together to purchase this for me, or my wife to purchase this for me with David's assistance at the show. and was given to me as a Christmas gift. That was quite a surprise. I never would have expected this, but have admired Joe's pipes for years and years and years. And now I own one of these beautiful pieces. It's just an absolutely stunning piece of workmanship here. And so that's just a little bit of demonstration from me today. So, I'm hoping to be back with the smoking sometime soon. It really is hard to not do this. So anyway, that is my story for today. I think I'm going to pass the pipe on to, let's pass it on to, let's pass it on to Joe. Joe, welcome to the Virtual Pipe Club, sir. Good to have you. You just need to unmute yourself, Joe. If you see the unmute button, it should be down by the left-hand side, I think. Should be like a little thing, a little microphone that's should be turning green. If you see a little like red and thing over it with a line through it, you should just click that off. Or DDR, is it possible you can unmute him?
Yeah, DDR, probably good.
Yeah, can DDR unmute Joe? Looks like everybody's on mute.
I just unmuted myself, if that helps.
Yeah, Joe, if your computer is like others, if you look toward, like on the bottom of the screen toward the left, there should be a little thing that says, mute and stop video. If you click on the mute, you should unmute yourself.
Joe, it might just be a little microphone, red microphone with a slash through it.
Yeah, red microphone with a slash through it.
Or if you have a child in the house, they can help you do it.
Yeah, if you have a middle schooler, that would probably be able to do it.
Mm. He's getting technical support.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
While Joe was working on that, I was out of pocket also for about 10 days because I traveled to the Country Squire and spent a couple of days with John David Crow and
Oh, it's on the screen. I was looking at it.
Oh, he got it.
You're good. You're good.
All right.
Ask him if he can hear.
You're good.
Can you hear me?
Joe, yes, sir.
We got
All
you now,
right.
Joe.
Oh, so well, Joe, welcome to the Virtual Pipe Club. Thank you for being here today. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you're smoking today.
I'm just smoking a toasted Cavendish from Hearth and Home. It's called Mohawk River. It's very mild. It's what I started out with when I first started smoking a pipe about 25 years ago, and it's very mild, very enjoyable, and I love the sweet fragrance from it. And I'm usually pretty much a Latakia guy, so I'm just taking a little break from the Latakia for a while, and that's what I'm smoking today in a Skoda made rusticated Bulldog.
Awesome. Okay. Can you, if maybe you could pass the virtual pipe on to someone else here in the group, someone who maybe has a hand up, or I think Dave Haranack hasn't spoken, Steve Huffman hasn't spoken.
Tim, why don't we send it to Randall?
Okay,
Randall.
let's send it to Randall. Let's Randall, tell us what you're smoking today. Randall, I think you're
You're muted, buddy.
Yeah, I was. I struggled and I got it off. It's always something, isn't it? Anyway, yes, today I have an older jar of some Savinelli Brunello Flake. And I wrote on there it was tinned in 2014, but I opened it in 2017. And I'm having it in a Savinelli Estella. I don't know if this is sandblasted or rusticated. It's really, really craggy. It's a great smoker, of course, like Savinelli is. Got acrylic stem on it, not too long. And an interesting thing, too, in the button end, you can't see it, of course. Usually you just get a hole that's shaved off. This is funneled, and you don't usually see that on production pipes. Anyway, it's a really good one, and I'm going to need it because it's a cold day again. It's supposed to get up to 40, but not here yet. So that's that, and I see Dave standing down there, sitting down there with his engine. Where'd he go?
Not today. I'm not in my engine, but.
Aren't you?
No, I'm sitting in the garage.
Ah, good man, good man.
Tomorrow morning I'll be back in the engine, but good morning and good afternoon, good evening, fellas, and it's nice to see y'all. Starting my day off with a bowl of Director's Cut from HU, and I'm smoking it in Smoking Barrel Briars, Lavat, Flame Grain. And yeah, after that, I'm going to load up what's becoming my new favorite is this silver spigot poker that Janos made. And I'm going to have a bowl of Orla Golden sliced. So it's good to see you guys. Tim, your hand's up, but I assume you've already gone.
Yes, I'll take it down. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's pass the pipe over to Mr. Huffman. Go Chiefs.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
It's so I know probably everybody else has had it. I have never tried Prince Albert before, so I'm trying that. It's an interesting blend, but I'm smoking that in my Savinelli. I think it's a TiVo or Tevi. Just got it, and it's pretty. It's my first filtered pipe. So that's interesting so far, but no complaints at this point. From there, I'll pass the virtual pipe on to, let's see, Michael, I think have you already spoke or not?
I have not. So thanks for passing the pipe. I had to fight with the United States Post Office today to find my new Janos original. He calls it the Holy Wood. It's made out of Jerusalem. What's the wood again, Janos? And this has been on quite a journey. Got lost in the Cyprus Post. Janos had to retrieve it. Then it got lost in the American Post. So it's been on a month-long plus journey to get here. But here it is, and I'm enjoying it. And then let's pass the pipe over to. Oops.
Hey, Mike, before you pass the pipe, can you just put it up a little closer to the screen? Because it looks like there's some pretty interesting either grain or some kind of. Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's an olive wood pipe. And
cool, and it's kind of a.
You know, Janos is interesting with his carving. So it's not. I don't know if you can tell, it's not symmetrical. So it's a really coolly carved pipe. And I think he's on. If he wants to chime on in, Janos. This is your masterpiece. And you know, I'm a bit of a Janos fanboy over here. At 60 years old, I'm a fanboy.
What's on the back side of it there? It looks like a screw thread or something.
You know, it does not come out. I don't know if Giannis had to drill a hole into it to get the interior hole right, and that's how he plugged it. I'm not quite sure what that's for.
Okay.
So, but it's a beautiful, and I've wanted an paw, and I guess this is the shape that this is. Because sitting down in my mouth, it sits on my chest. And any other questions?
I wanted a good look at that grain, so thanks.
You're welcome. And I don't see any other hands raised. So if there's nobody else, I'll pass it back to Miguel.
Well, Silver just jumped in. Maybe she wants to tell us what she's smoking today.
Nope. Oh, there she is. Hi, Silver.
Hello, everyone. Hey, cousin.
Okay, Silver.
Hi, cuz.
So I'm smoking a really old Sheridan Yachtsman. And it's one of my favorite pipes to smoke. The draw is so nice, and it's got a good chamber. So if I usually go for a smaller chamber size, but if I want a nice smoke that's going to last more than half an hour or more, I go for this. I'll pick it up and put it down, pick it up and put it down. And I'm smoking my normal blend. It's just, I'm kind of a one blend kind of girl. But yeah, so I've been kind of moving my rotation around, bringing out some stuff I haven't smoked in a while. And I gave that Dustin France a good workout, like 2 or 3 months solid of being my only pipe to smoke at 3, 4, 5 bowls a day. So I had to give it a little rest, give it a good reaming, and let it rest for a little bit. But I'm working on something pretty exciting, actually. I just finished a 9.5 inch stems. I think I showed you a couple of weeks ago. And I went to the new owner, and the one with the long saddle, and he's absolutely thrilled. And his son is contemplating buying the second one. So that's exciting. And then I received a commission for a pipe that's going to be featured in a book, on the cover of a book. So this is how I started the pipe. It's a 7-lobe. And then I did 2 because I wasn't sure. And I did this one, but I think the lobes are a little too dramatic. So I'm going to go for a smoother look on this one. And then I just got some Bakelite. I think that's supposed to be delivered today from Vermont Freehand. And then Sean Reen, who's a wonderful man, great husband, good dad, beautiful wife, and a wonderful pipe maker, sent me a rod of some kind of polymer, but it's translucent. So I'll have to show you guys. I should still be working on them in 2 weeks when we come back. And
Sean,
go ahead.
Is Sean pouring his own rods now, or is that something that he got from somewhere else?
He got from somewhere else, and I'm like, oh my God, I need more of this. Let me go grab it. And Sean wanted to order more, but the guy ghosted him. So I don't know. You can see that translucency in it. So I'm pretty excited about that. But we'll see how it looks when I'm all done. You know, it may not.
Once you cut that down a little bit, it's gonna show through a lot better too, eh?
Oh, absolutely. It'll be a pretty thin mouthpiece anyway. So and then not only on this pipe I'm making is got the lobes, but then I'm putting an inlay of olive wood and 5 of the lobes. And then I'm having done, I'm not doing it myself, wire wrapping in an infinity around the end. So it should be appreciated by a few. It's not really a traditional shape, but it's a fun project. lot of work with the Fordham. So.
You put your light up on that stem silver, and it reminded me of a really nice warm sunset.
Oh yeah. Well, the premise is it's supposed to be blood.
Okay.
Represents blood.
I'll see you later then.
It isn't an eldritch. It's not eldritch stem,
No.
is it? Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know that he pours translucent. He may.
Okay.
But I do have lots of his rods. I love his stuff. In fact, my favorite clenching pipes are made out of his rod material, just because it's so easy on your teeth, and it doesn't leave teeth marks. So it's a good clencher. So who hasn't spoken up?
Well, I haven't, but I don't know if you guys can hear me yet.
We can hear
Loud
you.
and clear.
You can hear me? I've been sitting here trying to figure out if my microphone was going on or not. But that will give me plenty of time to show that I am smoking a Llanos Coquinos to start off with. It's beautiful, lovely creation that I pull out as often as I can. You know that I'm partial to bent stem pipes, but this is one that is a great exception. And in it today is, because I'm going to be smoking this until the end. And that's a tobacco joke right there. This is a Cornell and Deal collaboration with Warped Cigars, and so this is a Warped, and I really love the strong flavors that come out of those Warped collaborations. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go to a Dustin Frank. I was inspired last week when Silver was smoking her Dustin, so this is the one that I got from Dustin. And at the same show where I got this from Dustin, I got this autographed tin of Uno from Per Jensen. And I'm going to be smoking. I've been smoking some of this all week long. It's great stuff. Does anybody else get some of that Uno?
Yeah, I have one tin left, and I'm not opening it for a while. The first one was too good, and I know there's no more left, so I'm gonna save it for a special occasion, I guess.
Let's see. Yes, I agree, man. I'm going to try to save a little bit of that out so that I don't smoke it all. But anyway, that's all of my stuff. Anybody else that we didn't get to today?
Yeah, Andrew and Glenn hasn't spoken.
Well, then, Andrew, let's grab you, sir.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm a bit of a glare here, so trying to make this work. I'm enjoying a little bit of warmth here in New Jersey. It's not too cold, but it's in the 40s or so. Not as nice as last weekend, but thought I'd try to sit outside here. Nothing fancy right now, just a standard cob. I'm smoking some Galleth and Hogarth Bosun plug for the second time, and not risking that in a briar. So enjoying it though. Spat out. I'm going to move to one of my Eric Weaver Sea Smokes pipes. My video. Try to show that. I don't know, the glare's pretty bad, but unique pipe. Love Eric's pipes. And in it, I'm going to smoke one of my favorite blends, which is just some Three Nuns. And that's it. Thank you. Who's up?
It's Glenn or Tall.
Yeah, we haven't heard from Glenn or Glenn.
Hi, gang. Hope everything's going well for you today. Today I'm smoking my Sassini Mayfair Cuddy, I think, or Belgique, I believe they call them. I'm a little surprised because it's a very thin-walled, kind of a, it's not dainty, but it's a small pipe, but smokes very well. And I cracked open 2003 tin of Strathspey from Cornell and Deal, and it's a frustratingly good tobacco because it's made with Scotch, and it's great when you first open the container, but it dissipates fairly quickly, and after even a couple of days, it's not what it was. But still a good smoke.
Yeah, let's pass it to Tom. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Sandra.
can you hold the pipe up one more time? I didn't get a good look. I was looking the other way. Please.
That's beautiful.
Muted myself. It's a it's a Susini Mayfair. See if I can get a focus going on here. There we go. It's the only one I have in this shape, so I have to love it. I only have one.
It's a pretty unusual shape. Very elegant.
Yeah, I've never had one. I've seen them before, and they go by different names depending who makes it. But I kind of like it.
Tom, let's do it, Tom.
Sure thing. Today I'm smoking Capstan Blue in a water pipe by Ian Fisher. I'm only on for about another 15, 20 minutes. I've got something in the oven, but I figured I'd drop by.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Let's send it back to DDR.
All right. Well, thank you. I am. Can you guys hear me, or did that go up? No. Okay. So it's something that I did, created an echo back over there on the live stream. So I apologize for those guys. We'll be working on it. But I'm going to not be talking very much right now because I'm going to introduce our special guest for the day. We're very honored to have a guest that's been recommended by a number of people, and somebody that I'm really excited to chat with because I love his pipes. I could kick myself. You know, some of you can relate to what I'm talking about. You see something special at a show or online or something like that, and for some reason you just don't pull the trigger, and then later on when you get home you just regret it. I just should have bit the bullet and bought the pipe. Every time I walk by one of Joe's tables and see all the stuff that he's brought by, I'm like, these are the most beautiful pipes. They are just gorgeous. So I'm hoping that I can rectify the hole in my collection by the end of this week at least. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce our special guest, Joe Skoda, from the Upper Hudson, and have him talk to us about being a pipe maker and all things in nature. So Joe, welcome, man, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here with you today. This is a new technological step for me, because I'm part of the old school, and I'm really slow, as you found out already, because I was looking on the keyboard, not on the screen, to find the mute to find the mute button, you know, to shut the mute off. But anyway, I started I made my first pipe was the spring of 1998, and the December of 97 was when we got our first computer. So I got online, and the first contact I made was somebody with the Hudson Valley Pipe Club. And a few days before that, I stumbled on the first issue of Pipes and Tobacco magazine, and of course I had a few uncles that smoked pipes, but just you know, your basic drugstore makes, and you know, Gray Bows and probably some K Woodies. But I cracked open the first page on P&T magazine, and I was just blown away by what I was looking at. And up to that point, I had no idea uh, about the handmade pipe world at all. And of course, in the back, I picked that issue up and I read it from front to back, and I found the Hudson Valley Pipe Club in the back, listed in the back of the magazine. And so I made contact with them and showed up at my first club meeting. And maybe a few months later, one of the guys, Hal Silverstein, who unfortunately passed away quite a few years ago, he was not a full-time pipe maker, but he made some really beautiful pieces. And he would go up to Pimo's up in Manchester, Vermont, and get these really huge monster, plateaus. And that's what he loved to make, was these gorgeous long shank free hands. And anyway, I had mentioned to him, I said, gee, Hal, I want to make a couple of pipes for myself. And of course, I bought the book in the back of the magazine, read that through. And at the time, I was doing custom woodworking, so I didn't have to invest in a lot of equipment. I had everything you needed. And so we made a trip up to Pimo's, and I picked up a few blocks and a couple of push stems. And over the next 3-4 months, I put together, I think it was a total of 4 pipes. And then I brought them to one of the club meetings, and the members were pretty impressed. And it's just like, well, I've done a lot of woodworking, ship modeling. And so I literally had them in an old sock because I didn't have any pipe bags. And so it was 2001, March of 2001. That was the first pipe show that I bought a table for down at the New York show, as a matter of fact, and sold 6 pipes, and the rest is history since then. So I've been making pipes for a total of about 25 years now. And I do list all my pipes now on Instagram. And just to let you know, anything that's marked gallery are pipes that have been made and sold from the past, but I still have them in a archive in my computer. So every now and then I'll post an older pipe, and I think I just put 4 new ones on, but I've got a few of them sitting right here. This is a 4-sided panel with the corners flattened off, and a rusticated sandblast finish on that.
That's really nice looking. I like that.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
That took a lot of time to go around and around that pipe, a couple of dozen times, but it's actually, I was commissioned to make something very similar to this. It was a JT Cook pipe for a gentleman, and I like the shape and the finish so much that I made this second time around, and it's a really nice piece. This is another one. I believe the panel, rusticated panel, is on Instagram, and I think this one as well. Got a Mazur birch cap and a ring on the stem. I call it an onion because kind of the shape that it's representing. not too bad of a piece. I was disappointed on the grain because the block should have produced some really nice grain, but you never know what you're going to get till you're done carving the pipe and actually looking at it. But anyway,
I mean it. I think it looks like a pretty big piece. Like if it qualified as a smooth, I'd say, you know, I hear the part about you wish the grain was different, but still, it turned out to be a smooth, which is good.
yeah, one tiny little flaw in it, but you know, that's the thing. You never know what you're going to get. The way when I looked the block over, uh, it appeared that it should have had a lot more, say, little better grain. I mean, there's some grain goes around it, but anyway, nice shape, nice pipe. And let's see what else we got here. Now this was something that took some real engineering to figure out, but it is a sitter made out of a piece of deer antler, another segment of Mazer birch. I put a little ebonite cap on the bottom of it, and the stem fits into the shank of the deer antler. And this was made in the shape of an acorn. Now, this has got fabulous grain on it. This is like nice and consistent all the way around. And of course, I carved another small acorn into the Cumberland stem. And this took the hard part is you can't put a piece of deer antler into the lathe. You have to make kind of a jig with a couple of wooden blocks in order to hold this thing steady so that you can get a good solid straight hole into the thing. Same with the insert for the shank on the pipe. And I was happy with the end result. Uh, Problem is, a lot of these pipes, I'd love to keep them and smoke them myself, but I can't do that. But
That's really nice looking. That's really
Oh, that's
beautiful.
amazing.
I also
Almost looks like
made
it has a foot.
deer antler tamper to go with it, with silver tamper attached to it. Nice nice polish on that, and so that'll be a nice combination. Let's see what else I got. Now this is another new pipe that's probably posted on Instagram, but it's kind of a bulldog genre. But I brought the point to brought the bottom of the pipe to a point, put a silver ring on it that I made myself, and the thing that I like the most about this is sometimes the simplest shape seems to produce what I think a really elegant pipe. And I'm just so tempted to keep this one for myself and make another one, but I'm running out of time because I'm going to go to the Muletown Pipe Show down in Columbia, Tennessee, uh, the third weekend in March. So I'm going to stick to making a few more new pipes, and this one I might have to wait till the second one. If I don't sell it at the show, maybe I'll keep this one for myself and make another one. And I got one more here. This was posted too. This is just a nice Dublin shape, beautiful grain on it. Another Mazur birch cap with an ivorite cap over that, and another little segment of Mazur birch in the stem. It's got a little bit of the natural top on it. I don't know if you can kind of catch it in the light there or not. And nice shape. I had a lot of fun making this out. And I've got, let's see, I got two new ones that haven't been posted yet. This is a nice horn shape, some decent grain on it. It's got the faux turquoise ring on the shank and in the stem. And this is Mazur birch too. I just stained it yellow, so it's got a kind of a nice effect, and nice horn shape. And this one I hollowed out the shank on it, so you can, I don't know if you can catch any of the daylight through it or not. This was a real challenge to pull off. It's a lot more involved when you start really carving into it, but you can see the shank of the stem is going right through the open spots in the larger shank. And this is a mammoth tusk cap on it, and again a segment of the faux turquoise. Nice grain on this volcano. Is everybody seeing this okay? I'm not moving it around.
It's looking really good.
I love the shank on that thing. Is wicked. That's really cool.
Thank you. Whether I'll do another one or not, I don't know, because that was a real humdinger to try to pull that thing off. It's so time intensive. I haven't even put a price on the pipe yet, so I have no idea if I could actually get out of it the amount of time that I put into it. But that's the way it goes sometimes with various types of artwork. But every now and then you really have to challenge yourself to do something new. And I think I really did it with this one. That was an interesting piece to pull off.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful piece.
Thank you, Tim.
It sure is one of a kind. I've never seen anything even close to this.
Yeah, it's a really nice piece. Thank you, Dimitri. And I made I made a tamper that goes with that pipe, but I haven't finished it yet. But anyway, that's a couple of the latest and some of the ones that I have posted. So if there's any questions or want to do an attempt to swing the computer around my shop here so you can see some of my equipment.
Well, I have a question, Joe. When you, I know the pipe making process is a very long one. When you set out to make something, do you ever like draw it ahead of time or come up with an idea and try and execute it, or do you just kind of start messing around and see what evolves, or is it some combination of the two?
Well, over the years, if I have kind of a standard shape that I'm going to make, I can pretty much pick out the shape of the plateau, and I know the lines are going to work out for me. most of the time I will draw a diagram on a sheet of graph paper. Sometimes I'll have as many as 2 or 3 pipes on a single sheet, but I don't know, they're like 8 by 11 sheets, and I'll take a block and find it that's going to fit within that shape, and then I have a center line, and so I'll transfer the lines from the drawing onto the block, and same with the angle of the draft hole, and if I have to do another angled cut because of a curved shank, and just to say that when I first started carving, there was a great smoke shop that was down in Rhinebeck, New York, and this corner store had been a tobacco shop for like 130 years, and I went down there and started studying a few pipes, bought a few pipes and some tobacco from them. And there was a Carl Eric pipe that was in that case with a beautiful curved shank on it. And I kept studying and looking at that thing, and I could not figure out for the life of me. It's like, well, how did you get a straight drill bit down through that shank and put a draft hole in it, but still be able to put that curve in it? And it took a while to figure it out. And then I realized there's the mortise is put in to the shank at an angle to the draft hole. And of course, you want to line it up so that you can still get a pipe cleaner through the draft hole, even after drilling an angled mortise for the stem. And that kind of brought a whole revolution to the different shapes you could do and designs you could come up with by doing that. And but yes,
Joe, since we're on the subject, do you think you could walk us through the whole step-by-step process of how you first conceive of a pipe and then take it through its execution to the end?
Well, I'll try. I'll see if I can hold on to the screen, but of course, pointing the camera toward what I'm looking at, I probably won't be able to see the screen, but we'll try to do the best we can here. Well, this is where it usually starts. Can you guys see all the briar up there?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Some of these blocks on the top shelves they're already 18, 19 years old, but they are Grecian briar. Some of my better stuff is down here on these cabinets behind the garbage can. This is some of my better stuff that I picked up from Vermont Freehand. Are you hearing me okay too?
Yeah, it's going well.
All right,
It's going really
great.
well.
And here's where I keep my rod stock. I've got quite a good supply of that. If you can make it all out in there, multiple colors and everything. And I've got a few blocks sitting around here. I don't know if anything's got any drawings on it yet or not. And that's kind of I don't, here, let me turn the light on so I can see what the hell is going on here. This is where I spend
Joe,
most of my.
do you pick your rod stock at the same time you pick your briar, or do you wait until the pipe is nearing completion to figure out what kind of stem you're going to put on it?
Closer to completion. Sometimes I'll already have that decision made of what I'm going to be putting on it. There's some of my knickknacks up there, and tons of little bits and pieces of parts that were turned down. I got all kinds of exotic wood sitting up here on my shelf. And here's a, I don't make too many magnums, but here's one that I started.
Oh, wow.
And that is, for me, this is kind of a monster, but amazingly for its size, it's doesn't have a lot of weight.
Looks like a planter.
And I've got a black palm segment in there. And the stem is pretty much finished, but I'm trying to decide whether to make it a smooth or to rusticate it. But this, when you make a pipe this size, it's like making 3 pipes at once. So that took 3 times the amount of time because you got so much surface area and carving and digging on it. And this is where I stand most of the time. And on this magnum size, I'm doing a test run for some new rustications here. This is a kind of a different pattern, but it's got some stain in it. This is just kind of a rough nub. I don't know if it's showing up very good or not. And so this is kind of an experiment going on right here. And
I think you got good results on that experiment.
Oh, thank you. I'm still working on it because the nubby side, the nubs are a little too far apart from one another, but we'll see what happens. So once the pipe is planned and I got a block picked out, then I move over here. Now I got the sunshine coming through this window, so it's probably gonna, no, but it's gonna produce enough glare. This is, can everybody see this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this
that looks good.
Made by a machinist friend of mine. And it's a 4-jaw chuck that he turned into 2 with the pins. It takes a little more time to set up with this, but with the pins, I can actually stagger the center and manipulate the center if it doesn't line up just right, which is a real advantage to like the diamond knurled jaws that a lot of pipe makers have, because when you use that setup, the block has got to be square. In my setup, the block does not have to be completely square, but of course, the squarer it is, the better off you're going to be anyway. And then this is my old Atlas lathe. Trying to stay out of the sunshine here. It's got a heavy duty bed on it, my tailstock, and everything around the shop. I usually have 3 of everything just to save me time of wandering around and walking back and forth across the room to get this, that, and the other thing. So I've got a pile of drill bits and a couple of chucks here, my live center, small assortment of drill bits, and I've got my jet metal lathe, which is where I do most of my stem work, drilling the draft holes in the stems, and once again, I've got a whole assortment of stuff right here and various drill bits, cutting tools that have all been ground and manipulated to get whatever effect or cut something any way I need it. And before I got this small metal lathe, I used to do it by hand on the old Atlas, which was kind of hard making extensions or trying to turn a tenon on a piece of ebonite or acrylic. This saved me a huge amount of time, and so this was a great investment. And so you could see all these little bits and pieces of stuff that have been started and turned down, and a whole stack of exotic stuff. I've got some Macassar ebony. I've got some black palm, Mazur birch. What else we got up here? We've got some olive wood. A few others. Now at my age, I got to make sure I leave the labels on them so I don't forget what the heck it is. Because that you start getting a couple of dozen different blocks of wood up there. You don't leave the label on it. It's hard to figure out what you've got. Now this is I just wanted to show you this because this was an experiment that I did. This is 2 pieces of wood from the same block. Both of them buffed with buffing compound and brought to a nice shine. But this one that's darker, there you can actually see it. I don't know how well it's showing up on the computer, but this was done by a process called fuming. It's been around for quite a long time, and this was put into a sealed, like a Tupperware container with a few wires shoved across it, and just about 1/4 of an inch of household ammonia in the bottom of it. Now this sat in that container for about 8 hours. This has got no stain on it at all, so you can see the difference. And once you take it out, the ammonia just dissipates out of the wood, but you end up with a really nice walnut type stain that's permeated the wood. It doesn't the ammonia doesn't get into the wood to the point where you're going to taste it or smell it. It just dissipates out, and kind of an interesting effect. This is just clear with wax on it, and this was done by the fuming process with household ammonia. So just to
Sure
point it
brings the
out,
grain out of the piece, doesn't it?
it certainly does. Yeah. That's my grinder sitting there to sharpen all my tools on, and lathe tools. Just to go back over here to just about all these lathe tools sitting up here on this shelf have all been ground down and manipulated to do whatever kind of process I need to get done. And here's my big skews. This is what I use to take a flat surface and make it round. Then I got a basic gouge. These are made to remove a lot of material pretty quick, because since it cuts at an angle, it actually shaves everything. Where everything else is what you'd call a scraper. Now this is just a scraper that I carved into the same shape as some of the drill bits that I use. And so if I get some little tear outs here and there, I can actually smooth it off with that scraper. And we'll go back over here, because this is where I keep all my drill bits. This is how I determine the size. This I make my own bits out of spade bits that I buy in any hardware store, and once I got them ground down to a pretty good symmetrical match, then I'll heat it up red hot with my plumber's torch and dip it into some cold water to temper it. And I've got my drill press here in the corner, in case I've got to put any extra holes in sometimes little segments and things that all have to be sanded smooth. Some of my old warbirds hanging up there on the wall. And this is my buffing wheel setup. And I got another chair that's sitting over there. Let me see if I can open this up for you. Here's all my different buffing wheels stacked up. I usually use a buffing wheel for each of the different stains that I put on a pipe, so that I don't mix it up. And it's just my theory or my opinion that I think the heat from the buffing wheel, if you keep using the same stain on it, will probably open up some of the grain in the wood and take on a little bit more of that stain. I can't really prove it, but that's kind of the process I've started, and I've stuck with it over the years, various compounds and some tobaccos up there in the top shelf. And this small cabinet's just got more buffing wheels in it. And
Joe, can you point your camera back at your buffing station there?
Sure.
I was curious about this. This looks like it's a custom-made setup here. Did you make that yourself or have somebody make it for you? The table.
I made what you call the little vacuum box. I made that myself. I saw one in a magazine. They wanted like $300 for it. I just put one together out of Luan and set it up. And the hose goes into the box behind it. And so I just made it to fit around the motor itself, to fit right there in the center. And we'll just show you. Get it here. I use the spindle ends, so I can change a wheel in, no time at all here. And
Hey, Joe, are those extensions on your shaft? On the buffer shaft, are those extensions?
yeah, they're called. This goes inside the shaft, and then there's a like a tightening ring that's here. Actually, two, and this you can just crank another wheel on it. Just a matter of seconds. I know.
Is that a variable speed motor or is that constant speed there?
No, this is a constant speed. This is 1750 RPM.
Ah, okay.
Joe, thank you so much for that tour. That was just incredible. First of all, I've been texting back and forth with a couple of people. Like your shop is so impressive. It's immaculate, brother. It's gorgeous. Did you clean it up just for us, or is it always like that?
Yes, I did. It was I did a thorough cleaning about a month ago. I mean, I was like knee deep in garbage and sawdust, and so I did clean it up a little bit for today. I just kind of swept up the floor and got some of that stuff out of the way, and of course cleaned up the bench too a little bit.
Well, that was really, really wonderful. Listen, I wanted to open it up to some questions. I know some of the guys in the meeting here have some questions, and also I want to make sure that the folks over there who are watching us on the live stream out at Facebook and YouTube, you know that you can ask some questions of Joe as well. Just type them into the chat there, and I'll pass them along to that. But I see that Dimitri's got a question, and then fellas, if you've got any questions, just throw up those hands and you can you can have at it. But Dimitri, go ahead.
Well, Joe mentioned that he basically started with the pipe making after reading Pipes and Tobaccos magazine. Actually, Pipes and Tobaccos magazine, that's where I read first time about Joe. It was nice article about him years ago in one of the issues. And then his name appeared in the magazine number of times in reference to different shows and so on. When I joined New York Pipe Club, I've seen some guys who had Joe's pipes. I was very impressed. First time I met Joe in person at one of Kay Woody events. And then I decided that's pipe I must have. I have more than enough pipes, but when I saw Joe's pipes in person, I decided I need one of his pipes. I've been saving for a while. Finally, last year, I got this beauty. And now I refer to this as my dream pipe. Well, everything about this pipe is perfect. Like the lines are absolutely incredible, smooth connections, grain is beautiful, amazing bird's eye on the bottom, straight grain all around. And well, Joe is an amazing guy, and I know he has very interesting story of his life, which he didn't really talk about. I'm curious, I always forget to ask you when we meet in person. Are you by any chance related to famous Dr. Joseph Skoda or engineer Emil Skoda?
You mean Dr. Skoda from Law and Order?
Founder of Vienna Academy of Medicine, 19th century Bohemian physician.
Nah, over in Slovakia, you know, Skoda's like Smith over here. So there's
yeah, I know.
There's a lot of Smith, but I'm not related to anybody famous. We were just grew up in a farm family, so we just dealt with cow manure a lot. That's
so you like me. You come from the family of peasants.
that's right. The peasant line. That's right.
Dave Herenia, click. Go ahead there, brother.
Hey, yeah, not really pipe related, Joe, but in regards to your pictures of your warbirds, is that a harpoon up there? And if so, did you have any special connection to those, or you just like World War II planes?
I got my pilot's license way back in I think the fall of 1981, and I just love the old warbirds. And of course, I'm not an expert on World War II, but if I find anything about the historical stuff about World War II, I'll either be watching it or reading it. And so I just had a thing. The one that I'm really missing and I'd like to get would be a P-51 Mustang. And when you think in terms of old aviation aircraft, most prop-driven aircraft haven't made any advances over the World War II warbirds, other than having a even though you know, having a turboprop engine, but like the F4U Corsair, that thing cruised at 450 miles an hour. So you know, that thing, those planes were tooling right along for World War II technology.
Yeah. So is the big twin tail there? Is that indeed a harpoon, or was it? I just noticed it in passing, but.
Nah, it was that's a B-24 Liberator.
Okay, yeah, I just caught it real quick and I saw a big twin tail there. I was like, is that a harpoon? Okay, cool, thanks.
Very cool. Randall, why don't we go to you, sir?
Just really just a comment, Joe, that that big magnum you had there, God, that looked great. Just a terrific looking pipe. I know the trend seems to be small and short and whatnot, but not in my house. I like the full size, and I guess you would classify that as full size. Is that on your or is it going to be on your Instagram page?
Probably in another week or so.
Yeah, it's not done, right?
It's not. It. I just got to do the finish on it, but it will be posted probably within the next week.
Okay. Well, thank you.
With
Anyway,
the dimensions and everything too. So
okay. Well, it's a beauty. Don't stop.
Thank you.
I'm going back and forth here between all my buttons so that I don't either take over the screen or get that echo going. Fellas, just because we always pick up everything going on in the background, I keep putting everybody on mute. It's not because I'm trying to keep you guys from asking questions or whatever. Just put yourself back, turn your mics back on when you have a question or whatever. Don't mind me. I've got so many other questions that I wanted to ask Joe, since we've got him here. Just a real quick question similar to Dimitri's. Not really a question. When I was a little kid, when I was probably 6 or 7, my father had a Skoda sports car. And it was probably one of the last ones that was shipped to the U.S., because just before the takeover, and then they stopped making Skodas, they stopped importing them. So, and then he had a wreck in it, and we lost the Skoda, but weren't able to get another one for years and years. But I'm going to go to Glenn. I see Glenn's got a question there. I wanted to say, typically we're sort of towards the tail end of our time for the meeting, but if you guys don't mind sticking around, there's so much more that I want to chat with Joe about, and I'd like to stay a little bit longer if that's okay with y'all. If you've got to go, of course, I understand a couple people had to pop out because their families were calling and whatnot, but we're going to go longer than usual today. Glenn, go right ahead, sir.
I agree. The Skoda is a magnificent vehicle, rear end, air-cooled 6-cylinder, a real terror on the road. I had a question for Joe about the design. You said you lay out your pipes on like graph paper first. I'm wondering the ratio between the stem and the stummel. Do you have a golden ratio? Silver Gray talked to us about using special ratios to determine the look of the pipe. But I think other people do it by eye. I'm just curious how you design it so the pipe looks right.
Yeah, it's always interesting, based on the size of the bowl, the size of the shank, just like in just mentioning this magnum that I made, you have to make things in proportion to the size of the bowl. I mean, if I put a thin little narrow stem like I usually do, like similar to what's on this bulldog, I mean, it just wouldn't look right. So, I mean, that stem is 1 inch wide at the end. So there is that dimensional balance that, that has to be there. Most of the pipes I make fall within, 5.5 to about 6.25. That's kind of the average. Sometimes the stem might be shorter and the shank a little longer. It depends on the again the size and the shape of the pipe, and usually the most deciding factors is the dimension of the bowl itself. I've made quite a few big saucer tops, and they've always been like my best sellers. But it's hard to find wide block, uh, and that's kind of a new thing. Like everything else, it's just like, the can of tuna fish used to be about 1.5 inches high. Well, now it's only about 1 inch, and once you squeeze the water out of it, you barely got anything left in the can. And most of the plateaus average 2.5 inches wide. Well, now you're lucky if you're going to find, 2 inches wide or 2 1/8, but getting 2 1/4 and 2.5 inch wide blocks is becoming kind of rare. So the blocks are shrinking a little bit in size. I mean, of course, you can find them if you want them, but my dimensions and length usually determined by the shape and size of the pipe, and to just keep that balance in there.
Joe, is there you've made a lot of pipes. Is there one that you have not yet made that you want to make? Like, is there, I don't know, some ultimate pipe that you want to make?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question, but I usually spend a good anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour just kind of cruising around on Instagram and looking at pipes that pipe makers are making from around the planet. And sometimes I'll be really impressed by a certain shape that somebody's doing, but I really don't have any kind of a shape and vision that I'm like drooling at the mouth to make, or like, like a bucket list for a for a pipe shape. But I always keep my eyes open, and we'll see.
I'm kind of on that same note, if I could just follow up what Tim's question. How about a pipe that you had a particular challenge making, and how you sort of solved the problem?
Well, I think this.
Yeah, that hollow
I think
shank is
this.
probably
Yeah,
the one.
I think getting back to this volcano, because uh, when you challenge yourself to do something that you've never done before, you you know you have kind of a learning curve, but at the same time, you once you've got it finally finished, then you think back and say, if I ever do something like this again, I'm not gonna. I drilled these marks in here after the shank was glued in. That was my first big mistake, because it made it very hard to cut these little grooves in here, and at the same time trying to stay away from the ebonite shank that's running through it, because I didn't want to scratch, because I buffed and waxed that before I glued it in, but it was almost impossible. I touched it, I scratched it a few times, and at that point, I wanted to kick myself. But I actually did think, I says, you should carve this in before you glue the shank in there so you don't have to run. But somewhere in the process, I ended up jumping that step and gluing it in first. And, I'm getting up to 70 years of age here, so I get a little stooped sometimes. And, even though I have the right thought go through my mind at the right time, it's like for some reason I end up not doing that or following through with it. And it would have been much easier doing this without the stem going through it, and the cap on it too, because I nicked this thing a couple of times with the Dremel tool. I had to go back, sand those marks off, so everything, when you do something new like this, there's always challenges, but at the same time, I learned a lot by doing it. You know, if I do this again, I'll do this entirely differently. And so this is something
And
I
actually,
wanted to do, but I probably won't do anytime soon because this thing was a real hump.
yeah, well, from purely engineering point of view, that design should provide cooler smoke, just because there is more surface area, plus all those openings will increase airflow. There will be turbulent airflow, and that, in theory, at least, it should make smoke cooler. I don't know how much effect it will have, because it's a relatively short stem, but in
It was
theory it
just,
should.
yeah, it was more just a design thing. I mean, it wasn't really produced with the purpose of you know, cooling it off. There is just one continual draft hole through it, but more for the visual and aesthetic value than any kind of improvement on dissipating heat or anything like that. So just to let you know that I doubt it would do anything to cool the smoke off, personally.
If it doesn't
Alvin, why don't
cool
you
it
go ahead
by
there, Alvin?
temperature, it's definitely cool in theory. In like, it's cool.
Yeah, no, it looks really cool. It's absolutely amazing design. I love it.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Alvin, go ahead, Mayor, my friend.
Thank you, DDR. Hello, Joe, and a comment and a question. I do plan on making the Milltown show, so I look forward to seeing you there, Joe. I hope that I've never been to that show, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, great. This is going to be my first time too. So
okay, there you go.
Excellent. At least I know somebody's going to be there that I know
now. Question, I guess it's kind of the opposite question of one you got earlier. Is there, and I don't know if I don't. Do you have a trademark shape, or do you have a shape that I guess you enjoy making more, or is there a shape or style that you kind of inclined to prefer? I guess would be my question.
Yeah, if I was to say I had a signature shape, it would be some of the big saucer tops with the bent, you know, shank with the little angled segments in it. And I only have one left on the table right now, and but every time I've made one, they usually disappeared right at the first show. They just usually some really great bird's eye, and that's kind of a challenge to make too. I can only do so much on the lathe. I can turn some of the top down, but then usually the whole underside is all finished off by hand, you know, removing all that material, working that shank into it and the right stem. And so I would say that that would be my signature shape, would be these. A lot of people call them a mushroom. I just call it a saucer top, but I would say that's my signature shape.
And I just one follow-up question. I don't. Do you normally what size chamber do you normally mostly make those saucers in? I'm just curious.
Usually 13/16.
Okay.
You know, that's just a hair under 7/8, and that's kind of like my average chamber size. Once in a while, I'll do 7/8. That's only a 7/8 on that big Magnum that I made. Okay. And at first I was going to go an inch, but I just didn't want to go quite that large, since it's 3.5 inches deep in there. So that's going to be a good probably a good 2 hours and 40 minutes, maybe even longer. So that's going to be a long smoke.
Thank you, Joe.
That would be a long smoke for sure. That was a great question, Alvin. I was thinking that myself there, and those saucer shapes, Joe, are the ones that always catch my eye as well. I'm going to have to bide my time until you've got one available, and then I'm going to see if I can grab one. I do have a couple of questions that came in over from the fellows watching on the live stream. I'd like to ask for them. So first one is, how many pipes a year do you make?
Well, the number's been going up right now. We're at middle of February. It's usually between right after the holidays and after the new year, for the next close to almost 5 months, to the Chicago show. That's when I'll make the majority of pipes. I don't have to do anything outdoors. I don't have any projects hanging over my head. So on a good year, I'll hit probably 30 pipes. But last year I got to 27. So last year was a pretty good year, but that's about it.
I'm doing math in my head right now. That's what I'm so I can see what my odds are. The other question that came in was, and I guess I think you said something about it, but I want to follow up on it to make sure I caught it right. Do you do commissions, or is there a mix between doing commissions and doing pipes for shows and your website?
Yeah, I do. I do commissions if somebody wants a shape that they see, and a lot of times people will ask me a pipe posted on the gallery section. Oh, is that pipe available? And so I have to always explain. It's just like, no, it's not available, but anything you see can be reproduced. So I do, yes, I do commissions if somebody wants a specific pipe or something of my style, whatever. I'm more than happy to do it.
And then what if somebody sees a shape that you didn't make yourself, but they'd like your style in in a pipe that somebody else has made?
Yeah, I would probably put somewhat of a variation on that myself, so that you don't directly copy somebody else's work. But a lot of pipe makers out there do copy one another's work, and they'll put their own spin on it. And I've seen people copy some shapes that I had. It doesn't bother me. Like when Alex Florov came out with that first pipe where he called it Pierced by the Artist's Brush, it wasn't a matter, weeks later they started popping up. Tony Nielsen did one. I think Graysick did one. So a lot of guys will, if they're in the same club together or whatever, they'll put variations on their work. And so, but I always like to throw my own spin on some kind of a shape. And of course, I do variations on my own shapes if I do something new. And I've gotten this compliment many times at shows, because that's the compliment I usually get. It's just like, wow, you've got such a diversity of shapes across the table here out of 30 or 35 pipes that I have on the table. And I usually respond by saying, well, I just don't like making the same pipe twice. But, I've made 3 of these same bulldogs. And I like the shape so much that I decided I made this one for myself.
Well, it's a beautiful pipe for sure. So are there any trends that right now have caught your eye in sort of the shapes? You mentioned early on that you were looking at magazines and you were thinking to yourself, you know, what would it be like if I made shapes of this nature? Anything happening right now you think is really cool that you're trying your hand at?
If if I was going to mention any specific shape, uh, quite a few years ago, the horn shapes were like a really hot item, and then they just kind of it just kind of dissipates. So I think the pipe community does move in trends, and what I've seen on Instagram from other pipe makers is there's a lot of horns being made, and there's a lot of horn shapes being sold, which is why. And I actually made a horn shape for the Columbus show, but I had a silver cap on the end and a silver spigot, so it was like what's that term they use? Yeah, like a cap and a spigot.
Mm-hmm.
And that was sold before the show even started. I just sold it out of my hotel room on an afternoon. So I would say right now that's kind of the hot item is horn shapes.
So you do a lot of accents then with silver, and I saw you had one that was made out of mammoth ivory. I've got a guy who makes stuff for me out of mammoth ivory. I know that's a beautiful set. And you had some stock of exotic woods. What are your favorites to use?
I think one of the favorites is definitely olive wood. Makes a great extension because it just polishes up so well. It's a closed grain wood. It's very hard, not super hard, but it's hard, and that's why it does take a really nice polish once you go to the buffing wheel with it, especially after you put a coating of wax on. Some woods are not so hot. I've got some spalted tamarind, but it's a very open grain, and you just can't get a tight, smooth finish on it because of the open grain. But I do use a lot of different colors and styles of acrylic. Makes some really nice extensions, and you can throw that color variation in there. And usually if I put an extension on the end of the shank, I'll usually put some of the same material at somewhere on the stem as well, just to kind of carry over that balance of it.
Just absolutely gorgeous. We are getting towards the end of where I usually shoo people out so that they can go back to their family. We were having a lively discussion over here about whether we should all recommend to our wives that 11 o'clock, 2 p.m. Eastern is a great time for them to take naps. So that we can not get disturbed. So I'm curious if there's any questions that we didn't ask you today, or some that you really would like us to know about your craft. And the context here is, Joe, I think we all agree that you're an extraordinary carver with a unique look, and just really love what you make. Is there something that you'd love to share with us about that?
I just thoroughly enjoy making pipes, and there's sometimes various processes can really get your goat, and no matter how much money you spend on a piece of briar, there's absolutely no guarantee that you're going to get fabulous grain out of it, and you're not going to get any flaws. And I've noticed people put notes on different photos that they've posted on Instagram about, well, I'm never going to buy briar from this guy again because, this is like the third block I've gotten a flaw in. But I had one day where I had 3 blocks in a row just trying to make a simple bent billiard shape, and I just couldn't make it happen. One had a huge flaw on the inside of the bowl. Next one showed up on the outside. Then the third block showed up on the inside. At that point, after drawing the lines and drilling the holes 3 times, I just, today's just not a good day to make pipes. So at that point, by noontime, I just walked away and said, forget about it. The next day, I put the first block on, everything worked out. But, sometimes there's a lot of cussing and swearing goes on. And I'm not ashamed to say it because I'm sure other pipe makers, can get pretty ticked off. And, the older you get, the more precious your time becomes. So it's just like once you've invested a lot of time in drilling out a pipe, uh, you hate to see that time wasted. But sometimes you have to have your own standard set that what can you let go and at what point do you have to throw it out. But I just do it simply because of the enjoyment of it. And even all the woodworking I did, custom woodworking over many years, uh, there's nothing as challenging as a piece of briar. The stuff is totally unforgiving. You never know what you're going to get. And a lot of guys will turn the end of the shank down on the lathe and they'll put their extensions on it uh, before they drill the tobacco chamber. But I won't put anything onto a pipe until the engineering is done, the tobacco chamber is drilled, there's no flaws, at least in those two areas. Then I'll go to shaping and finishing the pipe off. And then even at that point, you never know. I'm sure Tim can tell you the exact same story. You just never know what you're going to get. You might invest several hours and have to throw the thing in the garbage, or sometimes if there's a shallow flaw, you can rusticate. It's not going to affect the smoking qualities of the pipe at all. And you've redeemed that time so that it wasn't wasted. I don't know if that answered the question or not.
No, thank you so much. There's a couple more things that I wanted to find out from you before we go. But Dave, why don't you go ahead and ask our wrap-up question?
Okay, yeah. Hey, Joe, I was just wondering, do you have like a grading system for your pipes, or is it just like when it comes out, it's this, and that's how you decide how to price it, or how do you go about that?
Well, as far as pricing goes, it's dependent upon the grain of the pipe. If it's a smooth and sometimes the shape, how much time you have involved in it. If you do silver work, so all these little extras, if you put an extension on, all that stuff takes a little extra time. So it's just like it's kind of time versus the shape. But I do have a very simple grading system. I have a combination of the alpha and omega stamp, and then I have the same combination alpha and omega with a B on it. And in order for something to get the alpha and omega stamp, it's got to have solid grain all the way around it, absolutely no flaws visible, and the engineering's got to be perfect. That's what gets my high grade stamp. If there's a pipe that has beautiful grain, the engineering's good, there's maybe a couple minuscule little fly specks on it, then I'll put the alpha B on it. So that's it for my grading system. It's just
Yeah,
two steps.
this one is omega.
That's the top grade that
Okay, cool,
Dimitri
thanks.
picked up.
I was just wondering about that, and thanks for the answer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, I want to make sure before we go that everybody who's watching, and including people who are going to watch this, tomorrow in the coming week or whatever, because a lot of people do come back and watch the shows if they can't make it live. Where can people find your work? What shows do you plan on going to this year? Are you going to go to Vegas, for example? I know that's a long trip coming down from the Hudson, whatever, but mostly just like you say you have an Instagram channel. What's your Instagram channel? And all of that, every place that we can find it. And I'm making notes too, so I can go grab one.
Okay. Yeah. If you just go to Skoda Pipes on Instagram, my face will show up, and all the pipes that I have posted over the past year or so. And I usually now the New York show hasn't happened, probably because of the pandemic. That was like one of the last pipe shows I went to before the shutdown happened, only like a week or two after that show. Uh, and I know Rich Esserman's wife is having some physical issues, so I think he's held back. Usually that's in March, but I haven't seen anything posted. So in the beginning of a new year, that's the first show I usually hit, is the New York show if it's on. The second one is always Chicago. Uh, I always do Columbus. I do Richmond if it's on. Now Muletown is moved up to March. I think it's like the 17th, 18th, and 19th of March of this year. And this is the first time I've gone to that show, but it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's approximately uh, 60 tables there, and I got a half a table because they're 8-foot tables. That's all I need. Vegas, I was planning on going to it last year, but the hotel rooms were sold out, and I just didn't want to mess around staying in another hotel and taking cab rides back and forth, and if I couldn't get a room in the hotel. But this year I'm going to try to book a room early and try to get out to Vegas too. That about covers it.
Joe, are you coming to this year Capitaland in Albany? It's
Oh,
close to my
absolutely.
home.
I'm glad. Yeah, that's a new one. Thank you, Dimitri, for reminding me. Yeah, that's going to be, I think, this September.
Yes.
So I'll be there for that one for sure.
And Joe, did you say you were coming to Chicago? I guess I missed that if you did.
Yeah, I usually make the Chicago show
Okay.
every
All
year.
right. Thank you.
Yep.
So that's awesome. So lots of shows that Joe's going to be at this year. If you want to come and visit him, my recommendation is that you get to the head of the line before the room opens up, and you go right to Joe's table, because he's one of those guys that his good pipes are going to go like that. So I want to say this respectfully, like, they're all so amazing. You're not going to have a bad selection no matter what you look at there, but the ones that I think are his top grades and the signature ones, those are going to go quick. And then go look for Skoda Pipes on Instagram and see what he's got currently and what's available. So that's my recommendations. Joe, I just want to say thank you so much for being our guest today. And let me see if I can do this correctly so that we can get the appreciation from the whole crew here.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Dave, for inviting me to be a guest. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'll probably tune in some other time in the near future too, just to hang out with you guys, and look forward to whoever you have for a guest speaker. So I would just want to thank each and every one of you.
Well, we really appreciate it. It was a pleasure chatting with you. I want to thank Tim. Tim was really inspiration for bringing you in as a guest. I wanted to bring you as a guest anyway, but it's always good to hear from the other members of the crew, and especially the support group that I've got, Tim and Miguel and David, who's not here today. So I look forward to having you. You're welcome anytime. You're welcome anytime.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to have you back as a guest again, maybe later this year, if you've got some. If you can tell your wife to take a nap, I think
Sure,
that's.
yeah.
That's our recommendation.
I think Ramachandran's having a nap right now.
I have to say, Joe
Oh.
has very supportive family. I had pleasure of meeting them when they came to one of New York Pipe Club meetings. Great family. And Joe, it's always wonderful to see you.
You too. Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank
Good
you, Joe.
seeing you
Much
too.
appreciated.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good
thanks
to
so
meet
much.
you,
I
Joe.
really enjoyed your tour, and you got amazing pipes. So maybe someday I'll get to chat with you about one.
Wonderful. I
Thank
hope you
you.
guys could see around the shop pretty good because I wasn't sure if I was holding the.
No, it worked. Yeah, we saw fine.
That worked out.
You did
All right.
fantastic
Good.
job. You did.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
that was
Did a great
that was
job, Joe.
lovely.
Fantastic.
We'll let you guys go. I don't know if you guys remember from the last time that 2 weeks ago when we had Simon out there from the UK had just come down with a new case of COVID, but he said he and the rest of the family were doing much better now. So he said thank you for all of your well wishes from everybody, and I'm glad to hear that. And as I always say, just because it's not in the news that much anymore doesn't mean that it's not happening. So keep yourself safe. You know, do whatever you need to do because I love to hear that everybody's still happy and healthy. And in the meantime, have a great week. So on the 25th, Amu will be here to host the show with her guests. And I don't know who it is yet, but we'll definitely make the announcement of who she's hosting. And then I'll be back 2 weeks after that. So love you guys. Have an awesome, awesome day. And we'll see you guys soon.
See you
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Have a great week.
Thank you, Joe.
Good one.
See you
Thanks
next
so
time.
much, Joe.